حصلت الحركة على
أهلا بكم إلى حلقة هذا الأسبوع من المرصد، نغطي فيها الفترة من 21 إلى 27 مارس 2022. أنا نهاد الجريري. إلى العناوين. وزيرة أفغانية سابقة تقول طالبان هم السلطة الوحيدة في العالم التي تستخدم مواطنيها ورقة ضغط على المجتمع الدولي. اختراق أهم منصات داعش المختصة بالأمن الإلكتروني، واتهامات بتصفية حسابات من الداخل. ضيفة الأسبوع السيدة نرجس نيهان، الناشطة الأفغانية وزيرة التعدين والنفط سابقا، تتحدث عن قرار طالبان منع البنات من التعليم الثانوي. وبإمكانكم الرجوع إلى نص هذه الحلقة في أخبار الآن دوت نت. صباح يوم الأربعاء 23 مارس تفاجأت طالبات الثانوية في أفغانستان بإغلاق مدارسهن حتى إشعار آخر. في سبتمبر الماضي، بعد شهر واحد من استيلاء طالبان على كابول، أعلنت الجماعة أن الطلاب فقط سيعودون إلى المدارس الثانوية التي تضم الصفوف من 7 إلى 12 على أن تعود الطالبات في مارس. جاء مارس وأعلنت وزارة التعليم في حكومة طالبان أن مدارس البنات ستستقبل الطالبات يوم الأربعاء، وبينما توجهت الطالبات إلى المدارس أعلن طالبان تعليق الدراسة إلى أجل غير مسمى. حكومة طالبان سمحت بتعليم البنات في الصفوف الابتدائية من الصف الأول حتى السادس، وبالتعليم الجامعي إذا توفرت إجراءات الفصل بين الذكور والإناث. ماذا يعني هذا المنع؟ بعد قليل نتحدث إلى السيدة نرجس نيهان، الناشطة الأفغانية ووزيرة التعدين والنفط سابقا في أفغانستان. نقل حساب سويتش على تويتر أنه تم اختراق موقع مؤسسة آفاق الإلكترونية التي تعتبر من أهم المنصات التي تقدم خدمات أمن وحماية لجهاديي داعش على الإنترنت. سويتش، وهو حساب يتتبع الجانب التقني للجهاديين، قال إن عناوين IP المستخدمين تسربت نتيجة الاختراق الثاني خلال 3 أعوام. الأول كان في 2019، ويبدو أن الاختراق جاء من الداخل. نشر سويتش من حساب أحد المشتركين في الموقع صورة بعنوان مؤسسة نفاق الإلكترونية على وزن آفاق، فيها كشف لما يقول إنه اسم مؤسس المنصة، وأن هذا الرجل استغلها لجمع تبرعات يعتقد المستخدمون أنها لحماية أمن التنظيم إلكترونيا، بينما يستغلها في تمويل شركة تملكها خطيبته. حساب قناة فضح عباد البغدادي والهاشمي كتبوا كثيرا عن هذا الموضوع تحت عنوان اختراق رقمي أم تصفية حسابات. يقول الحساب: نستبعد أن يكون المخترق هذه المرة تابعا لأي جهة أمنية، لأنه لو كان كذلك لتم اعتقال مؤسس المنصة بدلا من نشر صورته وكشف هويته. ولا نستبعد أن يكون الهاكر من أنصار التنظيم نفسه، فشخصية المؤسس كانت ولا زالت جدلية حتى داخل التنظيم، ولا زلنا نتذكر أن بعض الأنصار كان ينظر إليه بعين الريبة. لوحظ هذا الأسبوع أن داعش بدأ يستخدم لفظ ولاية الساحل كتنظيم إداري منفصل عما يسمى ولاية غرب إفريقيا. ولاية الساحل تغطي مالي وبوركينا فاسو والنيجر، وكانت تعرف إعلاميا بداعش في الصحراء الكبرى. أما غرب إفريقيا فتشير أساسا إلى الدول التي تتشارك حوض بحيرة تشاد وأهمها نيجيريا. مينا اللامي الخبيرة في شؤون الجماعات الجهادية في BBC مونيتورينج علقت بأن هذه الخطوة ربما جاءت بناء على تعليمات من الخليفة الجديد أبي الحسن الهاشمي القرشي، ولفتت إلى أن هذا الإجراء يأتي بعد شهر من انسحاب فرنسا من مالي. العام الماضي أعلنت فرنسا عن قتل أبي الوليد الصحراوي زعيم داعش في الصحراء ونائبه عبد الحكيم الجزار في هجمتين مختلفتين، ولم يعلن التنظيم عن خليفة لهما. تدخل الحرب الروسية على أوكرانيا شهرها الثاني خلافاً لكل التوقعات التي قالت إن موسكو ستحسم الأمر في أيام. في هذه الحرب التي تتفوق فيها روسيا عسكرياً على أوكرانيا، استغلت روسيا جمهوريتين حليفتين من جمهوريات الاتحاد السوفيتي السابق يرى فيهما الرئيس الروسي فلاديمير بوتين ما يحب أن تكون عليه أوكرانيا. الجمهوريتان هما بيلاروسيا التي أدخلت قوات روسية إلى شمال أوكرانيا، وجمهورية الشيشان التي لم يتأخر رئيسها رمضان قاديروف عن إرسال مقاتلين إلى كييف في الأيام الأولى للحرب وكأن الحرب حربة. الرجل أثار ولا يزال جدلا كثيرا بسبب تحالفه الأعمى مع بوتين، لكن يبدو أن هذه الحرب ستأتي عليه بالخراب مع ظهور مؤشرات على عزوف عن التطوع للقتال بالرغم من المغريات المالية. الصحفية والأكاديمية الدكتورة فيرا ميرونوفا كشفت عن أن قاديروف بات يعاني نقصاً في أعداد المتطوعين للذهاب إلى أوكرانيا، فبدأ يجند الشيشان الذين سجنوا في قضايا إرهاب وتطرف وأفرج عنهم إفراجاً مشروطاً. وتضيف أن سلطات قاديروف تهدد هؤلاء بالذهاب إلى أوكرانيا أو تلفيق تهم خرق شروط الإفراج فيعادون إلى السجن. تقول ميرونوفا إن هؤلاء يرسلون حصراً إلى مدينة ماريوبول جنوب أوكرانيا لأنها بعيدة عن خط التماس، فلن يتمكنوا بسهولة من الانشقاق والانضمام إلى الجانب الأوكراني. وتنوه إلى أن ناشطين شيشان ومعارضين لقاديروف بدأوا فعلاً يعملون في اتجاه معاكس مع أوكرانيا لتسهيل انشقاق هؤلاء. وفي موقع آخر تضيف ميرونوفا أن الحكومة الشيشانية تغري المتطوعين بمبلغ $2300 مكافأة عند التسجيل و$1000 راتباً شهرياً، وتلحظ أن هذا لم يعد يكفي لاستقطاب متطوعين لأن الشيشان باتوا يدركون كم أصبحت الحرب بشعة. وهذا ليس في صالح قاديروف الذي يريد من الحرب أن تعزز حظوظه عند بوتين، حتى إنه أعلن هذا الأسبوع عن حساب على التليجرام بالعربية لما قالت عنه ميرونوفا إنه مؤشر على لعب بطاقة الدين والتقرب إلى العرب والمسلمين. في مقال نشرته الجارديان بعنوان خسائر الشيشان في أوكرانيا قد تصيب الزعيم قاديروف في مقتل، كتبته إيما جراهام هاريس مع ميرونوفا، نقرأ أن ثمة خلافات بين القادة الشيشان والاستخبارات الروس. فالمقاتلون الشيشان يقولون في فيديوهاتهم التي يبثونها من ساحة المعركة إنهم يقاتلون تحت إمرة قاديروف وليس الروس، كما أنهم يصرون على تسمية القتال حرباً خلافاً لتعليمات الكرملين التي تفرض استخدام عبارة عملية خاصة. حتى الآن لا يملك بوتين إلا أن يتمسك بالرجل، لكن ثمة سبب آخر لمشاركة قاديروف الحرب، وهو وجود فرقتين شيشانيتين تقاتلان مع أوكرانيا. تتألفان من شيشان المهجر الذين يبغضون قاديروف ويسعون للإطاحة به، وبالتالي فإن كسر شوكة أوكرانيا سيريح قاديروف من أعدائه، أو هكذا يظن. ظهر أبو محمد الجولاني زعيم هيئة تحرير الشام فيما قالت معرفات موالية للهيئة إنه تلبية لدعوة من أهالي أريحة وجبل الزاوية في جنوب إدلب. في الاجتماع امتدح الجولاني ما اعتبرها إنجازات في إدلب ومحيطها جاءت بالرغم من حرب دائرة وقال إن القوة العسكرية للهيئة ممتازة، وإن الجبهات باتت تستطيع الدفاع عن المنطقة بل واستعادة مناطق أخرى. معارضو الهيئة يتهمون الجولاني بتسليم مناطق للنظام عن طريق إضعاف الفصائل التي ترابط فيها. أهلا بكم دائما في راديو وتلفزيون الآن. إذن طالبان تغلق المدارس الثانوية للبنات حتى إشعار آخر. المسألة لا تتعلق بهذا التفصيل، وإنما بسياسة طالبان، نواياهم وقدرتهم على الحكم وتمثيل الشعب الأفغاني. نرحب هذا الأسبوع بالسيدة نرجس نيهان، الناشطة الأفغانية وزيرة التعدين والنفط سابقا في أفغانستان. شكرا جزيلا لوجودك معنا سيدة نرجس.
Thank you, my pleasure.
سيدة نرجس، ما الذي حدث؟ لماذا تراجع طالبان عن قرار فتح المدارس؟
Well, you know, Nihal, it's not the first time. Unfortunately, in the last 3 years, since we have begun from different platform negotiation with the Taliban and Doha, we have seen that they keep on promising, but unfortunately, they don't deliver on any of the promises that they are making. We saw what happened in Doha. They say that until there's not a direct negotiation with the US, they're not going to start the negotiation with the Afghanistan government. They conducted the direct negotiation and they completed that, and a peace agreement was signed between them and the US. And then after that, they demanded release of 5,000 prisoners. Release of these prisoners was not an easy decision for the Afghan people, because most of these people have been responsible for suicide attacks, killing hundreds of people in Afghanistan. But just for sake of peace, in order to move forward, we endorsed the release of those 5,000 prisoners. And as soon as those 5,000 prisoners were released, all of them went to battlefield. And Taliban, while conducting the negotiation with the Republic side under Doha, they also continued their military operation, and they began to capture province after province until they got to Kabul. And they knew, and they were warned several times by the international community, that if you take Kabul by military, we're not going to recognize your government, we're not going to collaborate with you, there is not going to be any collaboration, so you have to have a political settlement, and there has to be an interim government to address the issues so that we can continue collaboration with you. But unfortunately, while they kept on promising that they are open for political settlement, discussion, everything, they came and they captured Kabul. And after that, you saw what happened to Afghanistan. All embassies left Afghanistan. And after that, we saw that Afghanistan is totally isolated and abandoned. And right now, the country is going through the crisis. The country is going through national starvation because our money is frozen and state institutions are not functioning. Businesses are, most of them, stopped. The non-governmental organizations do not have resources, and especially cash in the country to deliver services to the people. And then on top of that, they say that we have totally changed our policy with regard to women's rights. But as soon as they came to power, they made the announcement that, okay, girls cannot go to school until the next announcement. And women are still not allowed to go to work. And more than 3,500 women that they had small to medium scale businesses, all of their businesses have been totally closed. And they're in total loss and bankruptcy. And I believe that backdoor, they have been using women's rights, women's access to education, women access to work, everything as a bargaining chip with the international community so that they can get the recognition. And when they saw that they don't get the recognition, once again, they surprised everyone by making the announcement that they shocked, which was shocking, that they do not still allow girls to go to school. And this is not only the case. Yesterday also, they made the announcement, thousands of, I think hundreds of women went to Kabul airport and they had their flights to leave Afghanistan. But then suddenly they made the announcement in the airport that no woman can leave Afghanistan without having a proper maharam, a male guardian. So Taliban have not changed at all. And constantly they keep on promising and they are delivering totally the contrary. And unfortunately, this must be the only de facto authority on the earth that is using citizens' rights and holding its own citizens as a hostage and using them as a bargaining chip with the international community.
إذن للتوضيح سيدة نرجس، البنات ممنوعات من الدراسة من الصف السابع حتى 12 اللي هي الثانوية، أما الابتدائي فمسموح، والجامعي محدود بتوفر الفصل بين الشباب والشابات.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what is more disappointing that still Taliban do not have any clear policy or an announcement or statement about the situation. So some of them keep on saying that you need to wait till the next decision, and we are still reviewing our policy. And some of them, and at the cabinet level, are saying that when we think that according to Islam and Afghan tradition, it's enough for girls to get educated from class 1 to 6, and after that it's not required. So you really don't know exactly how long we have to wait and what is going to be their policy towards a woman. But then there are also a lot of fundamental questions that we need to ask ourselves, especially looking at how Taliban are managing Afghanistan, is that even if the girls get educated, if they're not allowed to work, if they're not allowed to travel without male guardian, and if they're not allowed to serve in public institutions, then exactly what do we do with education? And then they have also begun to change the curriculum. So we don't know what curriculum they are teaching to the girls. And we will not be surprised with the curriculum that they will be using, that after 12 years, we are also going to have armies of girls as suicide attackers, because it is part of their curriculum. That's what they have taught. So, and then on top of that, I mean, Afghanistan as a state has been totally, at least have gone backward by 50 years in the last 7 months. So in a country which is so much prone to always insurgency throughout, because of the geopolitics that allocation of Afghanistan that we have, and then we are prone to risk of expansion of Daesh in Afghanistan. Already there are pockets of resistance taking shape and form in different parts of the country, mainly non-Pashtun ethnicities, because they're really under a lot of pressure and a lot of war crimes are happening. And then the formal national security forces, they have begun to organize themselves. So all these things that we have, even if we move ahead with the Taliban, even if the Taliban would allow girls to go to school, my concern is that within 1 to 2 years, Afghanistan will be in a country once again in quite bloody conflict, which will also take us and lead us to a civil war if we don't address it properly. And I'm just shocked with the way that the international community is trying to oversimplify Afghanistan's situation by giving a small list of conditions to the Taliban that you need to meet that, and then that's it. Okay, let's assume the Taliban will have a kind of, tokens, inclusive government where they will bring few mullahs from Tajik ethnicity, few mullahs from Hazara, few mullahs from Uzbek, and they will not be given any proper role in the decision making, but they will be just used as a token to show that yes, they have inclusive government. They might bring few women that they're going to have burqa, but they're just going to serve as advisor and something, and maybe head of women committee in their cabinet. And then on top of that, they say, okay, girls are also allowed to go to school. I think my fear is that if they meet only these 3 conditions, and then they also show some sort of, demonstrate some sort of proof that they are trying to cut their ties with Al-Qaeda and others, the international community will go ahead and recognize them. And they don't even understand that what is the consequence of that. How could they trust a group like Taliban? And for me, the question is that even if the president escaped the country on 14th August, wasn't the situation manageable? I mean, US could have easily brought a few thousands of troops within few hours from its bases within the region, and could have said, okay, we are taking security of Kabul, you're not allowed to enter, and we need to have a political settlement before entering. But they allowed all these crises on us.
سيدة نرجس، المرأة الأفغانية، الشعب الأفغاني حقق الكثير بالرغم من أكثر من 40 عاما من الحرب ومن طالبان. أنت سيدة نرجس كنت وزيرة في وزارة لا توجد في كثير من الدول، وزارة متخصصة ومهمة، وزارة التعدين والنفط. أنت نموذج لتعليم البنات. حدثينا عن تجربتك الشخصية.
Nahada, I've been working since 1999, and I'm a war child. I was I was 12 years old when we migrated during first civil war of Afghanistan to Pakistan. It was not an easy life because we went there, and my family was always concerned about bringing the food on the table for the family. I'm very lucky because my parents saw something in me, maybe that interest and desire for education, that despite all those difficulties that they were facing, they still helped me with accessing the education, although I studied in a refugee school. And then after that, I was very lucky because during that process, I also managed to go to English classes, and I managed to receive some computer classes. And then I was very lucky because as soon as I graduated from the school, within 3 months, I managed to find an assistancy job with an international organization. And besides taking care of my own education, higher education in the evening, I was also able to financially help my family. And then I was also focused on my career, taking care of family financially. And then on top of that, it was also important for me to be part of decision-making in my country. So as soon as the interim administration was formed in 2002 in Afghanistan, I just packed my bag and left for Afghanistan, although my family was not ready, and still they stayed for 7 more years in Pakistan. But I came and I was living on my own. Once again, I came first, I joined UNDP, and I was very lucky because soon I got a job offer from the Ministry of Finance. I joined Ministry of Finance, and I served, when I was 23 years old, I served as Director General for Treasury Department, and for 2.5 years. And I was able to computerize the financial management system of the country, and the system that they're using right now was installed under my leadership. And 2017, as I was appointed as acting Minister of Mines and Petroleum. When I was offered this job, there was also 2 other positions on the table for me to accept. But I remember very well that I told the president that I want to go for this one because this is more challenging after my treatment of the breast cancer. So I said, I have seen life totally differently after being diagnosed with cancer. I want to go somewhere where I can really dedicate my time and serve my people. And I know that this is a very challenging sector. So I want to take the responsibility of this sector and start working there. But it was so challenging. It was really challenging. First of all, there were a few advisors around the president that they were running the ministry from the palace. For me, the challenge number 1 was to bring all the activities of the ministry back in the ministry under my leadership. And that means that automatically picking a fight with those that they were so close to the president. But I had to do it in order to demonstrate my leadership as a woman to the staff of the ministry that, yes, I can do this. And then after that, I also had to deal with the parliamentarians that all of them were coming and asking for contracts in order to give me vote of confidence when I was introduced to the parliament. So I had to make the very hard decision. And I told all of them that I'm going to follow everything legally. Now you make your decision whether you're going to vote for me or not. So I went there after 7 months. And after 7 months, they were fully convinced that she's not someone that you can collaborate with. I canceled the bidding process of 15 medium-scale mining projects because we reviewed the process and it was not transparent enough. We developed a transparency portal where we uploaded all the contracts that they were signed in the last 10 years in the ministry so that people could review and for scrutiny.
سيدة نرجس، تسعى ناشطات أفغانيات اليوم إلى تعزيز التعليم عن بعد وتوفير حواسيب آليات للبنات في أفغانستان لمتابعة التعليم. هل هذا كافي؟
I think it's a good short-term solution. It's a good response to the Taliban that no matter what you do, we are going to continue with education of the girls. But when you're looking in the long term, when you're talking about development of a country, when you're talking about progress of a nation, then there is no way that we can do everything online. There is no way that we can do everything without involving or engaging the Ministry of Education of a state. I mean, state is having very important role. I mean, if we are talking about women empowerment without engaging the state at the current stage that you're doing, you'll have a very limited number of quite dynamic women that you'll be able to find their way like through the process with all these barriers that we are having. But if the state is engaged and the state is committed to women empowerment, education, and progress, then you're having a very different enabling environment where thousands and millions of people will have the opportunity, will have less barrier, and can move forward. And that's why we saw such an impressive progress in Afghanistan in the last 20 years. And that was because of the enabling environment and support that we have. So as a short term, we have to look at the online education. We have to look at every opportunity that we have for the Afghan women to, first of all, give them the hope that we are there to help them. Secondly, to do our own humanitarian responsibility that all of us as a human being are responsible to do something about the situation. And thirdly, to send a message to the Taliban that no matter whatever you do, girls will get their education. But that has to be our short-term response and solution. Long-term, we have to work on a political solution for Afghanistan. The Taliban has to accept that they are one of the very small minority and realities of Afghanistan. There are much more bigger realities beside them that they have to accept and coexist with. And they have to open up for girls, not only education, but girls' business, doing activism, journalism, and doing work and traveling on their own, and having all those rights that they were enjoying before 15 August.
سيدة نرجس، من القصص التي سمعناها عن ومن البنات اللواتي أغلقت أبواب المدارس في وجوههن، ما أكثر قصة أثرت فيكي كأفغانية؟
The interview that they gave, all of them, it was very difficult for all of us to watch that. Because we felt and relate to so much to most of those pains that they're going through. Because we, all of us, we have lived already once under the Taliban rule. And I think if that situation would have come on women and girls of my generation, it might be a bit easier because we have already faced and we have already seen what life is under Taliban. We have our skins are much more tougher. But these girls, they were used to a totally different Afghanistan, as you say. Life was much more normal before 15th August. They were dreaming about becoming president, vice president, serving in parliament, serving in the cabinet, having their own multi-million businesses. That was the aspiration that they had. But then suddenly after 15th August, they don't have any control over their life. They are a human being, but somebody else is trying to control each and everything about their life. So they have lost all their freedom and their independency, everything. So life is really difficult. And I totally understand because this is the first shock that they're receiving. And it is different because when we were a child and the civil war happened and we migrated to Pakistan, at least we didn't even have that aspiration that, okay, we can serve as president, we can become we can be in parliament, we can serve as members of the cabinet. We had no idea what was happening in this and other with women and around in the globe in other countries, what kind of life and what kind of freedom they were enjoying. We were not connected with the rest of the world because of the civil war and no technology, everything. So we had no idea. We thought that, okay, life is as basic, as tough and as complicated in every country as it is in Afghanistan. But for this generation, from YouTube, from social media such as Twitter, Facebook, they see what is happening in the rest of the other countries, what kind of freedom other women are enjoying in other countries, including Islamic countries, including the countries that they are having the Islamic Emirate model of government. But then on top of that, they are living in a part of earth where they don't have not only access to their basic rights, they're facing poverty, they're facing starvation, there is no hope for the future, and in every step and every layer of the life, like there are challenges and there are barriers for them.
السيدة نرجس نيهان، الناشطة الأفغانية وزيرة التعدين والنفط سابقا في أفغانستان، شكرا جزيلا لوجودك معنا.
Thank you. Bye.
وشكرا جزيلا لوجودكم معنا في راديو وتلفزيون الآن. أنا نهاد الجريري، مع السلامة.